We'll now move on to the candidates for 6th District Judge. Each will be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves. We have Jeff Starnes and Wes Tidwell. Mr. Starnes, you will begin.
My grandparents were attorneys in Elgin, Texas, a small town near Austin. And they instilled in me the belief that a lawyer ought to be the conscience of the community. Being a lawyer was all about service. My dad was a Methodist minister, my mom was a teacher. They lived a life of service, and they tried to teach me about it as well. Good evening, I'm Jeff Starnes. I'm happy to see you all here this evening, especially my family that came out in support. I've served this community as a prosecutor, as a member of the Drug Task Force, a Boy Scout leader, community volunteer, and a member of our mission team from church. My mother's cousin, Rachel, was married to longtime District Judge Henry Brasman. I hope to follow in his footsteps and continue his legacy as 6th District Judge. I've practiced law for nearly 27 years, trying well over 100 jury trials, especially the kinds of cases commonly heard in the 6th District Court. I've even served as a special assistant United States attorney, and I'm the only candidate with capital trial experience. For the past 16 years, I've practiced in civil law, and I've worked on the defense side. When I worked for the state, I always slept better knowing that there was a good lawyer on the other side making sure that everyone's rights were protected. Our Constitution and laws were written to ensure that people got the best help possible and that the innocent would not be convicted. It's not a perfect system, but it takes an unbiased judge, someone who isn't best friends with either side, to listen to the case, listen to the evidence, and then make a decision. And I pledge to do just that as your next 6th District Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Starnes. Mr. Tidwell.
Good evening. My name is Wes Tidwell. I'm going to do away with the typical introduction. I think you already know me, and if you do, that's great. If not, you can go to my website and figure out all my qualifications and experiences. What I want to talk about here quickly is what's important to this race. To begin the discussion, I want to state the obvious. The 6th District Court had lost the respect of the public. You know it, I know it, we all know it. Our clients knew it, the community knew it, folks in Austin knew it, folks in Dallas knew it. Time limitations are going to prevent me from going into the details about all that, but I want to state for the record that I was not a cause of that failure. Not at all. To the contrary, I wasn't playing the game. There were games being played up there in that courthouse, and I was not appreciative of it. I practiced 22 years up there, and I take it real serious what goes on in that courthouse, and I demand that that court give respect to everybody. You won't find my name on any tapes or on any motions to recuse. Not at all. Look around. You won't find them, but you'll find others. I was simply an outsider, and I wanted to challenge the status quo. I'm tired of it, folks. And you should be too. You should expect more from that courthouse. I am the candidate of change, and I'm not supported by Judge Clifford or his friends. I'll tell you that. I'm not supported by anybody that stood up there in that courthouse. Instead, they've turned their support to my opponent. Would it make any sense for me to ask for that support when I want to make changes? And I do want to make changes for this county. I love this county. I love this state. I love everything about it. I love practicing law. But it's got to start somewhere, and it'll have to start here. You deserve a very qualified attorney. I've been given awards by Texas Bar Foundation, Texas Lawyers Magazine, Red River Valley, Boys and Girls Club. I'm on their wall of honor. That's something you should expect. Thank you.
Mr. Tidwell. Mr. Starnes. I'm sorry. It is Mr. Tidwell's turn to continue. When was the first time you voted in a Republican primary?
Mr. Johnson,
You did not hear that?
I said no, I heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was disappointed when I heard it, to be honest with you. I know that question's been bandied around a lot. by all the other candidates in here. Time is limited. Information is limited. You expect to get to the issues of this case. I can understand how that question might relate to a political party, but I just can't understand how it's going to relate to the 6th Judicial District Court race. You know, when you get up there and you sit on that bench, we're supposed to look at everybody, period, not based on their party affiliation. Are you Democrat, Libertarian, Republican, black, red, yellow, white? It doesn't matter. But to answer your question, my voting history is much like many others in here. By the way, I have looked at voting history for a lot of folks sitting in here right now. In fact, my voting history is quite similar to a number of folks. Just like Mr. Towers said, he paid attention to local politics. I went back and I found Mr. Coonrod's article. It received a lot of press a long time ago, all the way to the LA Times. There's a historic shift in this county. I believe in local politics. I believe in the state of Texas. I believe in Lamar County. You better believe in it, because this is where you live. You know, we can worry about what's going on in Dallas and national politics and so forth, but you need to have a say, and I was having a say, very much so in local politics. So, yes, I voted in Democratic primaries because that's where the local politicians were. I see a couple out here that were mentioned by Mr. Coonrod in his article. 2012, 2014, after the shift, I voted in the Republican primaries. So, again, I was disappointed in the question. I really think we need to get to the bottom of some of the other issues because you as a voter deserve more.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. Mr. Starnes, when was the first time you voted in a Republican primary?
First time I remember voting in the Republican primary was in 2000. Although that wasn't the first time I voted as a Republican. I know I voted in the Republican primary in 2000 because I served as a delegate to the state convention that year. My mom was a lifelong Democrat, like a lot of them, and she was appalled that I was a Republican, but she gave me some advice. She said, vote with the party that you believe in, and that's what I've done.
Mr. Starnes, if you would remain up there, we'll go to the next question, which is, what have you done that will demonstrate to the Republican primary voter that you will be a conservative and a strict constructionist judge?
I'm a Republican. I believe in the planks of my party. I believe in lowering taxes, stimulate the economy, limited government, and reduce spending. I believe in personal responsibility. I'm in favor of responsible gun ownership, and I pass that on to my kids. I believe in Christianity and traditional American values as the basis for decisions. When I graduated from high school, our church gave a book to the seniors entitled In His Steps. It's where the slogan, "What would Jesus do?" originated. I'm far from perfect, but I try to follow that in my everyday life. Being a conservative Republican isn't new to me. I participated in my precinct, county, and state conventions. I helped draft the proposals we forwarded to the state convention to be included in our party's platform. I'm a member of and attend the Methodist Church. I've worked with the youth, the choir, the Boy Scouts, and in missions. Being conservative Republican isn't just a buzzword, it's a way of life. As far as being a strict constructionist, our laws are guided by the Constitution, and the statutes are not to be enlarged by implication. I'm not trying to make the book by being some activist judge that's trying to expand the laws beyond the way that they were written and intended.
Thank you, Mr. Starnes. Mr. Tidwell, what have you done that will demonstrate to the Republican primary voter that you will be a conservative and a strict constructionist judge?
To start with, you have to ask yourself how I came about to run against a sitting judge. So what have I done? I filed to be on the ballot. Plain and simple, I filed to be on the ballot. I filed first. My filing led to the withdrawal of Judge Clifford. As a conservative, I was worried about our principles not being played out in the courthouse. Plain and simple. So what did I do? I filed. I got on that ballot. I believe that a judge needs to listen to the facts of the case and apply the law. That's the very essence of conservatism and strict construction. And like I said, it just wasn't being done, and now I pledge to do that. What worries me, though, a little bit is the rules that we play by also involve the judicial canons. The judicial canons, in particular Canon 5, and I've read it and I intend to follow it, and I intend to follow it throughout this campaign, tell me that I shall not make pledges or promises of conduct in office regarding pending or impending cases. It goes on, it talks about even specific propositions of law that would suggest to a reasonable person that the judge is predisposed to a probable cause. I know this party's worried about conservatism, but they also be worried about the character of the person that's going to sit up there on that bench and whether or not I'm going to follow the law. Am I going to listen to the facts and do what I'm supposed to do? Regardless, like I said, of whether or not you're a conservative, a libertarian, a Democrat, I don't care. That's not a question I'm going to ask. And again, I think we need to get to the bottom of some of these issues that really are going to affect this race. And unfortunately, asking some of these doesn't answer those questions. You as a voter are going to have to seek out more information. And if you ever want to ask me, find me somewhere and I'll answer those questions. Thank you.
Mr. Tidwell, if you would remain up there, we'll get to the next question, which is, what changes would you initiate if elected?
Well, as you can tell, I keep repeating it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to restore honor and respect to that 6th Judicial District Court. That's not been present, and that's my primary focus. Again, I'm also going to treat everyone with respect and courtesy, regardless of your party affiliation, your beliefs, where you work, where you live, it doesn't matter. If you come into that court, you're going to get respect, and that's been lacking, Mr. Johnson. The court's lost that, and in doing so, it lost the faith and trust of the people. And just like I say that over and over, if we fail just one person, we fail us all. And I believe that. I believe that greatly, and that's going to change. So those are the issues that I want to change. Speaking on a different level, though, I'm a taxpayer. Just like everybody else in here, we've got to watch our dollars. I don't take criminal appointments. I work hard in my practice, and I got to produce a good product. And the same mindset is going to be evident in that courtroom. We're going to watch the tax dollars. We're going to do this thing the right way. You realize that we're not using video conferencing up there? Simple video conferencing. I can do this on my phone. I can arraign criminal defendants where they can stay in the jail. Sheriff Cass is going to be able to keep his deputies down there. They're going to be able to be fighting crime instead of hauling around criminals. Now, doesn't that make sense? It's not been done, and it needs to be done. I want to go back also and carefully examine some of these affidavits of indigency for some of these criminal defendants. We need to pay attention to that. Otherwise, all they've been doing right now is filling out a form and getting a lawyer. Isn't that great? It needs to stop. Finally, I want to go back and carefully examine some of the applications for investigators. That's too routine. Kid gets stopped on the side of the road, got a marijuana in his pocket. Lawyer goes up there, asks for an investigator, automatically gets one. That doesn't need to happen. There needs to be some checks and balances that are made. I intend to watch the taxpayers' dollars, and I intend to sit on that bench and do the right thing.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. Mr. Starnes. What changes would you initiate if elected?
The 6th District Court hears felony criminal cases. I don't have any conflicts of interest with other lawyers or the appearance of impropriety or bias with the county attorney. If I'm elected, there's not going to be the need or fear of possible recusal in criminal cases. Security and manpower are always a concern at the Sheriff's Department. Those are two issues that can be easily minimized by utilizing the courtroom down at JP's office at the jail and using cameras, just like Mr. Tidwell said, to do closed circuit arrangements. We have a problem with drugs in our community. I would work with Judge Bill Harris to institute a special drug court for offenders who truly need and want help for their addictions. In some, not all, but in some instances, it's better to try and help somebody recover from their addictions rather than sending them to the penitentiary over and over again without trying to break the cycle. Drug courts have been very successful in other counties around us. We will have a drug court within the first year of me being on the bench. I would also support faith-based programs to help deal with the problem. I'm encouraged that we already have some good ones in place. Governments can't be the solution to all of the world's problems. It takes our churches and our communities, you and me, willing to step out and do something about it. That's the only way that we can accomplish real change. My opponent seems to think that there's an issue about the cost of indigent defense here. I disagree. If you look at the budget, you'll find that it's under budget. Is it something that needs to be looked at? Is it something that needs to be scrutinized? Just like every other budget item?
Thank you, Mr. Starnes.
Absolutely.
The next question directed to you, if elected, will this be a full-time judgeship or will you have other obligations that will require your time?
Like a lot of you, I've got a family that I care deeply about. My only obligations outside of being judge would be my family and my faith. I don't have any other business interests that would require my time. I've got a strong work ethic. I'm not one of those, as Mr. Tidwell would say, that's sitting around the courthouse waiting for a handout to take criminal cases. I worked in high school. I held 3 jobs at a time while taking 20 hours a semester at East Texas State University. I worked full-time during the day while going to law school full-time at night. That's the kind of work ethic that I have and would bring to the bench. I want to be your next 6th District Judge. I appreciate you both.
If elected, will this be a full-time judgeship or will you have other obligations that will require your time?
No offense, and I hate to repeat this, but again, does the answer to that question really get to the issues of this race? No. Y'all deserve more. You voters, you deserve a lot more. To answer your question, though, absolutely. You got to understand, for 22 years, I've maintained a very private practice. I don't accept criminal appointments. I don't want them. I want to work hard. I want to earn my money, and I want to earn the respect of my clients. And to do that, what do? I'm a small businessman. I get out there every day, and I'm busted just like a lot of you all. You work hard. You hope somebody calls you. Keep the door open. Pay the light bill. Let's keep going. So yeah, I mean, my life has been a full-time job. Started work when I was 12 years old, mowing Paris lumber. You imagine a 12-year-old out there with that little push mower, and I mowed it all day long. Then I'd walk across the street and get me something to eat from the truck stop there. I've been working all my life. I'll keep on working. I'm going to work this job. I know what, there in my campaign material I put in there, I'm active in farming and ranching, and I'm very proud to do that. My dad was Ronnie Tidwell. He was a soil conservationist. I learned more from him than I learned in any law book or anywhere else. He taught me how to work hard, and so did my mother. My mother did the ball field out there at the Optimus field every night, every summer to earn extra money because she was a teacher. She made a lot of money. Ronnie didn't make a lot of money, but we got by and he kept working. I got cows. I got land. I'm proud of it, real proud of it. There's a lot of folks here in this county that make a supplemental income off their cows, or they do it as a hobby, and it's a way of life for a lot of us. It's a conservative way of life, by the way. So yeah, it's going to be a full-time job. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work harder probably than any other judge has ever worked up there. I want that court to be good for you all. Thanks for your vote.
Next up are the candidates for